What is up, Packer fans? We are back. Tough weekend, tough week. Week one did not go the way we wanted. Obviously, the Packers lost to the Vikings 23-7 in Minnesota. A lot went wrong. A lot went wrong, but there's a lot to build on. There's a lot that kind of went right here and there. Individual players played really well. Zach Tom came in, did a great job. You saw some guys on the backside do really well. DeGuara played good. Some of just here and there, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon played really well. They just need more touches. Um, the defense, though, Savage and Amos had their lowest graded PFF scores of their careers. Both of them had them at the same time in the same game. I'm gonna take this out, and so it's just tough to play like that and win. So now we're on to week two. The Bears will leave the Vikings game behind us. We did all the review. We did the reaction. We did all of that. It's tough to do it during a loss. I got my Stay Salty Biloxi, Mississippi shirt on because of the feelings I have about what happened this Sunday. I was so excited going in. I was so hopeful. I really thought that the Packers would win. I thought this defense would be elite. I thought they'd be able to run the ball, which they were. They just didn't do it enough. I thought they'd be able to pass it the ball. Rodgers forced the one that was picked up to Cobb. Rodgers forced the one on 4th and 1 to Tanyan. I don't understand that. Just run it with Dillon, get that 1 yard. But all in all we can do is look forward. Just a really tough game. Now, week two, our opponent is the Chicago Bears. This is the longest running rivalry in the NFL. They've played the most games between opponents of any two teams in the whole league. Pretty exciting. The Bears are coming off a week one win against the 49ers, Trey Lance-led 49ers, who are struggled, and a lot of chatter about that right now with Jimmy G sitting on the bench. But we don't have to worry about the Niners now, and the Bears are our focus. The Bears have not won a home opener since 2013 when I think it was Mike Tressman was the head coach. They won 24-21 over the Bengals back then. So for them to win the home opener, obviously we know the conditions were not ideal. It poured. It was really a bad scene. The field's already bad in Chicago. Then you add that kind of rain that quickly. It was tough to play at all. I don't think it was a good gauge of either team, and the Bears were able to come out on top. That first half was really a struggle. They came out in that second half and were able to put some points on the board. Justin Fields settled down. A lot of things for them to work on too and build off of, but they actually won. A lot easier to go into your job during the week and look at film after a victory instead of after a loss like the Packers. The only bright spot is for Green Bay, Matt LaFleur's never lost back-to-back games in a regular season in his career as a head coach. Rodgers is also 8-0 with 22 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions, a passer rating of 120, following a loss in the past 3 seasons. That's with Matt LaFleur. So these guys, after a loss, normally bounce back and the team wins, and Rodgers plays really well. I think last year, the bounce back was really a good game, and we've seen that from Rodgers in the past. After a tough week, they come out and normally have a good week of practice and get these guys on the same page. I think these rookies are going to want to prove that last week was kind of a fluke. Watson's like, I dropped that one time out of 100, and that was the one you guys got to see. Otherwise, I feel like I catch that pass 99 times out of 100. I feel that way with him as well. I think this guy's got a lot of talent. We just need more opportunities on offense as a whole. The defense needs to stop the opponent and get the ball back, and the Packers offense need to run the ball, keep possession, get these guys touches. Jones needs more touches. Dillon needs more touches. Tanya needs more touches. DeGuara needs more touches. And then you get to the receivers. Watkins and Cobb. Lazard's going to be coming back. I think he'll be ready for week 2 against the Bears. He was close to being ready for week 1, so that means I think he'll be ready for week 2, barring any setbacks. But he's going to want touches. And then Watson and Dobbs, the rookies are going to want touches. So there's a lot of people who want to eat, and there's a lot of talent here. We just need to keep the ball, keep the possessions going. I mean, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones were running the ball really well, had a great average, really effective out of the backfield. That 29-yard run by Aaron Jones was quite a run. Zach Tom was in there for that one and busted it open when he was pulling as the guard. I want to see him as the starter. I think he should be out there. I think Sean Ryan should be out there as well, but I'll get into more of the offensive line in a little bit here. So after a rough first half for Justin Fields last week against the Niners at Soldier Field in the rain, he had 3 incompletions and an interception after the first half. That's pretty horrible. That's it. Then in the second half, you started to see his playmaking ability, his ability to run. He did take a pretty brutal hit. There was a flag, but he was throwing the ball well. Really looked good. 49ers jumped out to a 10-point lead early, and then Fields got the ball in the third quarter, hit Dante Pettis for his only reception of the game, a 51-yard touchdown pass. It was kind of a blown coverage. So on that play, Fields was, running, kind of scrambling left and right, buying time, and Pettis was left wide open. So it was a broken coverage after kind of a broken play. But that's Fields showing what he can do with his feet. Fields showing what he can do, when he's kind of when the play breaks down and he has to improvise, he shows what he can do. 51-yard touchdown on a scramble drill, pretty impressive. He did end up 8 of 17, 121 yards. That's less than 50%. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 85.7 passer ratings. Those stats aren't going to jump off the page, and it's not like, oh, wow, look how good he did. But he really did perform well to get the W, kind of put his team on his back at the end there, and knew Trey Lance was struggling, knew he just had to make a few more plays than him, and he was able to do so. He got another touchdown later on to EQ to push the lead even further. They did miss an extra point after the Pettis touchdown, I think. I know that they scored 19 points to the 49ers 10. And this team, they have pieces. There's a lot of guys here who kind of were cast-offs of other teams, or, they brought in Dante Pettis, and they brought in Equinemius St. Brown from the Packers. They brought in Byron Pringle from the Chiefs. Pettis has been bopped around the league a lot, but they have these guys from other, but together as a whole, the collective unit, they're a pretty solid unit of guys with talent. Obviously in the backfield with David Montgomery, and Khalil Herbert. Herbert had more yards, but Montgomery had more carries, so they do kind of have a two-headed monster back there in the backfield. Both guys can run the ball. Both guys are pretty good. We all know when Montgomery was out last year, Herbert came in and played really well early. And both of these guys can run the ball, catch the ball to the backfield. And with some of these plays with Justin Fields kind of doing motion and misdirection and his ability to run, RPO, things of that nature, this offense can be dynamic. Darnell Mooney is pretty much their wide receiver 1. I don't know if he's in the level. Obviously, he's not the level of Justin Jefferson. I don't know if he's in the level where you have to Jair Alexander him. I think with a team like this, you could do the zone concept where it doesn't really matter where guys are lined up, just because there's no one that's Justin Jefferson, no Jamar Chase, no Devontae Adams. No one guy that's going to really slice and dice you. You can kind of just play that shell coverage. But when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson, you got to put Jair on him. I don't understand that. We'll talk about that forever. But when you pay a guy $20 million to be a lockdown corner, you lock him down on the other team's best receiver. That's the point. So they don't beat you for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns, 154 yards at half. Crazy. So, obviously in the second half, they did a lot better covering Jefferson, but they can't let a guy get off like that and have such a big day, set a career high. So Mooney, EQ, Pringle, pretty much Pettis, those are decent weapons. So we're going to have to cover. We're going to have, a good scheme going. Maybe you do want to put Jair on Mooney and then kind of let the other guys fall where they may. But each guy, Mooney, EQ, and Pringle kind of can all beat you about the same way. They have different skill sets, but their ceilings are only so high, so they can beat you in about the same at the same level, I should say, not in the same way just because of the skill sets. But then they have Cole Kmet. So Justin Fields has a few weapons out there. Obviously, it's going to be a hostile crowd coming into Lambeau, which I hope the fans, the players, everybody's excited. Sunday Night Football can be tough. Rodgers has spoke about that in the past, how you kind of wait all day, you sit all day, and how do you fill that time? What do you do to kind of keep yourself amped but not get too anxious? So, um, that's why they're pros. So it doesn't matter. This is the game that, this is going to be a big deal. Starting 0-2 is tough. Now with the extra game, it might not have the same kind of implications as it used to, but you don't want to start 0-2. Then we go to Tampa after week 2 against the Bears here. So you don't want to go, and then you have New England, and then then you go to London. So every game counts, obviously. We know that. So, games like the Minnesota game on the road, week 1, we chalked that up as an L. We kind of, last year was a loss. We went on a 7-game winning streak after that. This year, you can't expect just to bounce back in the same way. There's all new pieces, all new everything, and so a whole new year, a whole new situation. So you really got to just kind of take one game at a time, go 1-0 each week, focus only on the Bears right now. Don't look forward to Tampa. That's going to be a real good game though. But so Bears offense, 19 points. It was rainy going up against San Fran's defense though, who is pretty good. However, holding the San Fran offense, I know the weather, but holding their offense to only 10 points means that this defense is starting to come around. Eberflus, kind of a defensive coach. I didn't think that'd be the best bet for Justin Fields when they brought over Eberflus. I thought, you should get an offensive coordinator or offensive coach to help your young guy. But they went defense. Obviously, we know they lost Khalil Mack. We know they lost Akeem Hicks, kind of their fixtures. We saw what Khalil Mack did on Sunday, 3 sacks for the Chargers. Akeem Hicks with I think he's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. But this Bears defense still has guys. There's still guys that, Rodgers knows. Rodgers has had some banter with in the past. I'm talking about guys like Eddie Jackson, Robert Quinn, Mike Pennell, the ex-Packer. He's the defensive lineman. And then Jalen Johnson, Jaquan Brisker, all guys that are really talented players on this Bears defense. They also have Dominic Robinson, defensive end, who had 1.5 sacks against the Niners. Roquan Smith also had a half a sack. Jalen Johnson forced a fumble, and Eddie Jackson had that interception. Really really solid defense. We all know Rodgers knows these guys pretty well, but he's, like I said, Eberflus is the new coach. Kind of what I thought with Mike O'Connell and the Vikings. I thought maybe with a new coach, our scheme, we could kind of shake them up a little bit, rattle them. But these young coaches are really good. That's why they're coaches. Eberflus, like I said, is a defensive coach, but this defense is going to be good then. So thought maybe the offense would be shaky, but it looks like this Bears team, it's tough to gauge. It really is tough to gauge because of the weather against San Fran. Trey Lance in his first game, bad weather, just all the different little variables. And so this will be a really good barometer of where both of these teams are at, where the Packers are at, where the Bears are at, what we kind of have on offense and defense. Hopefully the defensive scheme can kind of figure it out. The communication can be better. And then on offense, we need some better offensive line play. I know Bakhtiari and Jenkins are still hurt. It looks like they will not play week 2 against the Bears. I keep hearing more and more about Bakhtiari maybe being a long-term issue. I hope not. I don't really know how credible the sources are, but I keep hearing that he may be a cut casualty at some point because of this knee issue. It doesn't look like he's going to bounce back. I'm not really sure. I know the Packers are hush-hush about it. I know they keep it all quiet, but from what I kind of heard piece by piece from different sources, sounds like Bach's not really where they want him to be. I hope it's not the case. I hope it's all fake news. I hope it's all fake news. I really do. I want Bakhtiari out there. I think an offensive line with Bakhtiari at left tackle, and then Zach Tom at left guard, Myers at center, Sean Ryan at right guard, and then Elkin Jenkins at right tackle. I think that can be a top 5 offensive line. That's kind of how I envisioned it, with those guys as the bookends. Put the young rookies at guard, guys that can really run block and really play, and then a nice solid center in the middle. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. I thought Jenkins was actually, more ahead than they're kind of letting on. I thought he'd be ready for week 1. Tanyan was ready. I thought Jenkins would be ready. Obviously, he's a bigger guy than Tanyan. There's a lot more you have to worry about with a big man and a knee. But Jenkins isn't ready yet, so I don't think he'll be ready week 2. Bakhtiari not ready week 2. So that means we're going in with Yash again. Yash Nyman, and then left guard John Runyon Jr. is in concussion protocol. He could be cleared by next week, but chances are he likely will not be. I'm not 100% sure on that just yet. I'll have more updates throughout the week, but right now, if John Runyon Jr. is hurt, they will likely put Zach Tom in at the right guard spot, who I really like there. He is really a good player. He'd be good at either guard spot, but I think that if they do move on from Jake Hansen at that right guard spot, then they might throw in Sean Ryan. Zach Tom might flip over there. They might do something with those. If John Runyon Jr. can go, I think they put Zach Tom in at right guard. So John Runyon Jr. would be left guard, and then Zach Tom would be right guard, barring the concussion protocol. Not really sure what's going on with that. Obviously, I like John Runyon Jr. I didn't like Jake Hansen. I didn't really like Royce Newman, but I think it was Zach Tom in there. Hopefully Jenkins can come back week 3 against Tampa. I mean, our bye week's not until December 11th. So we've got 3 months basically to the bye week, and we need to, get these guys healthy and get them out there. Really would help, obviously, to have both of those Pro Bowl offensive linemen on the line. And then you could fill in the gaps really with whoever you think. I just like Sean Ryan, 6'4", 320. He was the best run blocking guard in football last year for UCLA. This guy is really good. And then Zach Tom, left tackle, center at Wake Forest last year, said he wanted to come in and be a starter at all 5 positions in the NFL. This guy, I think, can really get plugged in anywhere and be really solid. I think once he gets the job, he's not going to relinquish it for 10 years. As long as he's a Packer, he'll have that job. So that's kind of how the offensive line will look. Royce Newman will probably be out there at right tackle again. Hopefully they moved off of Jake Hansen. He should be just kind of that backup guard role. Don't think he's ready to be a starter. Zadarius Smith made him look silly, and you just can't have that kind of pressure up the middle. I really think Sean Ryan would be a lot better fit. Dude's 6'4", 320. He's not easy to move, and, if we start running more, run blocking for young linemen is easier moving forward. Get Dylan behind Sean Ryan and get Aaron Jones running back there. I think if they really start leaning on this run more, put way less pressure on the rookie receivers, way less pressure on Rodgers, and just grind it out, try to play some good defense. I thought that would be the formula before, but the defense looked shaky. Running game didn't get enough opportunities, and too much pressure on these young guys. First play of the game, you go bomb to the rookie. I know he should have made the play. I get it. He should have made the play. But that's a lot of pressure early on for a young guy. First play of the game, first play of 2022, first play on Fox, first play, of the season, all these things. And he could have a first play, first catch, touchdown, 75-yard, break whatever records for rookies for first catch, and, Packers first play. I'm sure it would have been some kind of record somewhere along the lines, and then he drops it. So after that, didn't get another target till the fourth quarter. Just a bad look all around. Tough on him. Tough on Rodgers because he, what does he do now? But I think that they're all going to bounce back. I think Christian Watson will not have that happen again. He will catch the next one. He ran a great route. He burned Patrick Peterson, who, although he's a little old, was still, a really good corner. And he had him. But He dropped it, and that is how close it is in the NFL. That's why we love it. That's what makes it so great. So I was talking about this, kind of just a side note real quick. It was kind of funny during the Bears 49ers game. I should have brought this up earlier. On an attempted field goal by the Bears, I had talked about this, and I didn't remember if it was the Bears kicker or the punter or the Niners punter. And so the Bears punter, Trenton Gill, trying to line up for Santos's field goal, brought on, it looked, they said it was like a beach towel. It looked like a jersey, like a ref's jersey or something, I think. And he was trying to mat the field and dry it off where they were going to kick. Well, that's an illegal play. You can't do that. I guess I didn't know that. They used to shovel spots off. Well, if you can shovel, why can't you dry? I get it. It's in the rule books, whatever. But a 15-yard penalty on the punter, which you hardly ever see that. And they had to punt then. So his fault. But why I brought up special teams is because this Bears kickoff coverage is a little bit, it needs some work. So I'm thinking this Packers kick return team can finally get something going. Hopefully Rodgers can get a return here and there. We can flip some field. Hopefully there's not too many kickoffs except for like either the beginning of the game or at halftime. But if there are, I think that this coverage unit for the Bears is one of their weaknesses. And if there's any team that the Packers can get some returns on, it will be the Chicago Bears. Hopefully, I know Amari Rodgers has kind of struggled back there, but in preseason, he looked like he was running a lot more north-south. And I just, maybe put Watson back there on something just to try to get that speed going. But for the most part, the Packers special teams played pretty good against the Vikings. No real issues punting the ball. No issues on the extra point. Crosby made it. No real big kickoff coverage returns or punt returns. Really a solid day for the special teams unit. It's nice that, when you don't have to talk about special teams. Normally when you talk about special teams, it's because of what they did wrong or something that happened that was bad. If you don't have to mention them, that means that they did their job and everything went as planned. There wasn't enough opportunities for them, to really do much, kicking the field goals or things of that nature. But what they were given opportunities to do, they did well. Like I said, O'Donnell had a pretty good average. 3 punts with inside the 20-yard line out of the 4 punts that he had. Pretty decent average, but he was kind of trying to do the coffin corner, keep it short, keep it within the 20, and he did that. So his average was only like 43, 44. But like I said, 3 inside the 20, that's really huge. That really helps the defense. That's why this Vikings game wasn't more like 33-7, because it was so dominant. It seemed like it could have been that, but the Packers punting, the Packers defense did kind of tighten up here and there, and they were able to hold. They didn't get ran all over by Dalvin Cook like I thought they might. This Packers front 7 is pretty good. We just need to figure out this back end communication and get these guys on the same page. So some moves already. So we had some injuries against the Vikings. We know that Quay Walker went out with a shoulder injury early on. He looked really impressive early on, though. Then his replacement, Chris Barnes, came in, and he has a high ankle sprain, or I think it's a high ankle sprain. And so he's out now, and he might be getting kicked to IR because they already brought or signed Caleb Jones, 6'9", 370-pound tackle. And, they already have 10 offensive linemen on their active roster, so they bring in another one. It seems like with the injuries to other teams across the league, the Packers were afraid that Caleb Jones would have got swiped by another team, maybe the Buccaneers or the Cowboys or, the Falcons. I mean, there's other teams out there that might have needed a tackle. Caleb Jones is a guy the Packers did not want to lose, so they brought him on now. Barnes, like I said, will likely go in IR. With Jenkins and Bach still out, it's nice to have that depth. We saw the struggles of Jake Hansen and, with John Runyon Jr. getting hurt. So having another guy there is not a bad option. If you got to kick somebody inside, if you got to kick Newman inside to right tackle or right guard, and then throw in Caleb Jones at right tackle, throw Zach Tom at left guard, and then Yash stays at left tackle and Myers at center. That might be how it shakes up. We'll see how John Runyan Jr.'s injury to the concussion goes. But Caleb Jones signed to the active roster. Really, probably a big day for him. I bet he's excited. Tough break for Chris Barnes. You know, he goes from being a starter to now being the kind of the backup, getting a chance to come in and then getting hurt in the first game. Really tough. But what that means is Isaiah McDuffie was 4th on the depth chart at inside linebacker. If Barnes is on IR and Quay Walker is unable to go on Sunday versus the Bears, it will be Devondre Campbell, the all-pro at middle linebacker, with Isaiah McDuffie as the second middle linebacker. Not sure what the Packers would do roster-wise if Quay's not able to go. It looks like Quay should be good to go. So far, they feel like they avoided any major injuries, and it looks like he'll be ready to play Sunday. He's a guy that we really need to have out there. Just got to put him in the right spots, right positions. He's a guy that's just really quick, really fluid. Have him cover running backs and tight ends. Not so much receivers, Justin Jefferson. Keep him off of guys like him. He's good, but don't put him out of position. He's young. You want him to succeed. A lot of what the Packers did on defense, I don't think they put their players in the best position to succeed. I think they over-schemed. They had guys covering guys that they shouldn't have. They should have Preston Smith rushing the quarterback, not out covering Justin Jefferson, especially when Jair Alexander's right there next to him. He should have. I don't understand it. I get the whole zone scheme concept, but right when you saw that it wasn't going to work with Justin Jefferson, you got to make the changes. You got to fix it. You got to, coach them up and make the change. That's what the whole process is. In-game adjustments is huge, and that's what's so important. We don't want to see issues like that all season, and we need our guys to really step up and be ready to go. So I'm excited to see how this week goes. Packers-Bears, always a great rivalry. The Bears defense had, Roquan Smith, he played really good. Eddie Jackson, Robert Quinn, guys that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers know well and know their tendencies, but same goes for the Bears knowing their tendencies. Bears hate the Packers. Rodgers says, I own you, I still own you. So obviously they don't like that. They want to break away from the owning of Aaron Rodgers. So these division games are always tough. It's always a grind out. We remember a few years ago when Rodgers got hurt and came back and won. They were down, I think, 21-0, and Rodgers was able to bring the game back. A lot of good matchups. Randall Cobb over the years, playoff games, the NFC Championship game. The Bears-Packers have had a crazy rivalry since the beginning, all the way back to the 60s. And, it's the Bears won in 85, Packers won in 96. It's been just a really fun back and forth. Chicago's so close to Wisconsin and Green Bay, and the rivalry is so deep. So I'm excited. This is just the first initial reaction to what I think, or predictions and just ideas about this upcoming game against the Bears. I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. This is not a must win, but this game will really show us a lot and determine a lot about how the rest of the season will go, the pressure of the season. And, like I said, the Packers are so good with Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers in the last 3 years at bouncing back after a loss. I think they'll be able to do that again. This Bears team is a perfect team to kind of have a bounce back game against. Not a whole lot of firepower on offense, not a great defense, no real crazy playmakers. They don't have a Delvin Cook. They don't have a Justin Jefferson. They have guys that can play, but nobody that you really would, have to really super game plan against. They should be able to just play a basic defense and kind of keep them in front of them, stop them, keep Fields in the pocket, and this game should go a lot different. I'm excited to see the Packers get on the Dillon and Jones train, run the ball, play good defense, pass it when you have to. I know Aaron Rodgers as a $50 million game manager sounds like, why are you paying him that much? But right now, until these young receivers can get going, get on the same page, figure it all out, You need to allow them time. So run the ball. You got two great backs. Your offensive line looked good enough running the ball at least. I mean, if you can't pass it, they can't pass block, run the ball. And then you just got to toughen up on defense. You got to figure out the defensive scheme, and you got to put your guys in the position to have success instead of over scheming and putting them out of position and making them look like they're not even on the field for some of it. So can't have your two safeties have their worst games ever and expect to win. It's just not going to happen. Those guys are too valuable to the team and mean too much and are too important. They struggle. That means everybody else is out of position, and it just is a bad look for the defense. So hopefully week one is just like last year, week one. It's basically a preseason game. These guys are knocking out the kinks, knocking off the rust. And week two is going to be the bounce back game that we expect. I'm excited. I know last year that I think we played the Lions the second game. So the first game was the Saints, got beat 38-3. Second game, I don't know the score, but I know the Lions, we started out slow. And then that second half it picked up and we ended up winning, and we went on that 7-game win streak. So this time I hope, because we did at least score a touchdown week one, we're able to kind of pick up where we left off towards the end there and get the ball down the field, score on the first drive, put the pressure on and, win this game. We're at home opener, Green Bay, Packers, Bears. I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. I cannot wait. It's only, Wednesday, and we'll be there soon. So, tick, 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 tick. We'll watch the injury report. We'll see what they have to say this week, and I'll keep you guys updated along the way. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one. Check out other videos. I have recaps of the entire week's games, and just more Packers, Vikings reactions because the loss was such a tough loss to watch. So, all right, guys, thanks again. Peace out. Don't forget, go Pack, go.